everyone. My name is Nancy Burrington, and welcome to Wellness Journey, turning your challenges to triumph. I am so happy that you're able to join us today, and I have the pleasure of having a dear friend of mine, Donna Sharp, who's going to be a guest speaker today. And I've known Donna for almost 4 or 5 years. We met at a Qigong conference, and she has a passion of wellness, just like mine. And she's been in business now for over 13 years, talking and promoting wellness and healthy living and holistic wellness. And she spells holistic the same way I do, with the W. Most of the time, when you see people talking about holistic, they have it with the H. And I like to say that holistic means the whole body, the whole person, the body, the mind, and the spirit. Something that modern medicine does not always encompass. They always go to one side, but not to everything. And one of the things that Donna's going to talk about, why we talk about the whole being. So, and then also, Donna's going to also talk about this wonderful book she's been working on with all of her heart and soul and giving it all into it. And that's her new book that she just launched. And at the end of this program, we'll give you a link and information on how you could be able to get a hold of Donna, as well as being able to get her book. And Donna would probably hate me if I don't go ahead and say this. And this is going to date this video, but she is from Tampa, and the Super Bowl winners, the Buccaneers. Yay!
Yes, yes.
So if I didn't say that, then Donna would probably say, Nancy, what happened? But anyway, so Donna, can you go ahead and tell a little bit about yourself, and so that our audience get a little bit more information about who you are, and they see that beautiful picture behind you. And I didn't mention why that, you're very beautiful, but she's also a model. But can you give us a little bit of information about yourself?
Well, hi guys, welcome and thank you for joining. Thank you, Miss Nancy, for having me on today. My name is Donna Sharp, and I actually was born and raised in Jamaica, West Indies. I'm an islander from the islands. So I have been on this journey for wellness ever since I was young. It's not been a new thing for me. I've always been actively involved in sports and athletics, and so it just easily merged into each other as far as from the sports arena to the fitness arena where I taught fitness for 25 years. So wellness for me is not something that's new. It's a continuation of what I love to do.
Mhm. So tell me a little bit about your business. The name of it being Holistic Wellbeing.
Yes. So holistic well-being, our goal is to make sure that we teach individuals how to live life, a wholesome living. So it's not necessarily a cookie cutter approach. It's not thinking about just how do I lose weight. There's a lot more involved in it. And my business is a faith-based business. So we focus first on faith, which most will call the spiritual, the faith, and then the mind, and we take it straight to the body because the body encompasses both the external and the internal as well. So it's not just a physical aspect of what exercise do I do to help me in this particular area, but it's also what is it that I'm supposed to be eating and intake, and that's going to help me in the process. And so our goal is to teach individuals how to merge all of that together, bridge the gaps and those downfalls that people may have, those little pitfalls where they start something one day and they drop off the next because they don't necessarily understand the right process to take. And so that's our goal with holistic well-being, living life as a whole in order to achieve that ultimate wealth versus piecing everything one item at a time, because ideally it's important to understand that all of them work synergistically together, and that's how we're going to get to our optimal results.
So you mentioned something about the dropping off on a program. What are some of the challenges people have as far as starting a program and then just stopping?
I believe a lot of people have challenges because they don't necessarily understand the full gamut of what it takes. A lot of time when individuals are signed up for different programs, they may go off of an infomercial. They may go off of someone saying, I'm going to help you do this. But how is it that they're actually helping them to do that? That's the biggest thing. I truly believe the how is where the breakdown takes place, number one. as far as whoever is assisting that person. And the second thing is, which is probably the most important, is the individual is not understanding what the lasting effects will be as a result of engaging in this process. So many individuals right now, they love the quick fix. Let me see that whole microwave piece. Oh, I'm going on a dance next week. Let me make sure I lose 5 pounds. But they don't think of, well, how do we lose the 5 pounds but make it last into several months after, and making sure that we're going back. The third thing I want to say is I believe that the habits are not there. The appropriate habits are not there. So the diligence, the discipline, the D word, the discipline of making sure that now that you did the process, what is going to happen after you finish that process? What is it going to look like on a day-to-day basis as far as your discipline that you're going to take and utilize it over and over again into your routine process? And that's where you're going to see the lasting effects of living that lifestyle, right? Versus just doing it as a one-day thing, because it's not
Mhm.
just a one-day process. Our life is our health deserves more.
One of the things that I like to always tell everybody, everybody's body's different, you know.
Correct.
And a lot of people, when they do go on those infomercials or they go and watch something that somebody else is doing, they don't really put into place that that person is that person and I am who I am. And like, for instance, remember that big old fad when they said all these movie stars are going through this cabbage diet or something, and everybody's
Right.
jumping on it, and they realize, oh yeah, they lost all the weight, but what else are they doing that I'm not doing as an individual? Why is their body showing something different? And I think, do you agree that sometimes people look at that and they get discouraged because they're looking at somebody else and the results that they have, not realizing everybody's body is different.
Correct. Correct. Yes, every individual has a whole different makeup. How we respond to certain stimuli it's effective based on our the makeup of our body, and there's just a lot more that really goes into it. So not only is the structure of our body all designed differently, what what things that we consume, whether it be physical or internal, it also affects our body. Our genes are different, our DNA is different, right? So like you said, where somebody may see someone on a commercial picture and they say, man, a prime example, case in point, I'll tell you, in teaching fitness class, one example is I go on the pool deck and I'm teaching a class, and the class members specifically say, Donna, we want a body like yours. And I cut the conversations because they really don't understand. Number one, a lot of them come there for social reasons and they're not taking their health seriously. So it's fun, it's engaging, it's let me talk to my friends. This is exciting. They want a body like mine, but they're forgetting about the other half of that, whereas it requires action. I'm very action oriented. So I just smile and I joke them off and I say, okay, guys, let's continue with the class today. If you're really serious about that, then that's when you would have to have the after conversation. But just wanting it and working towards it is two different things. Two different things. And so one of the things I always tell people is, please do not ask me to coach you until you're ready. You have to be serious about doing this because I don't want to waste your time and vice versa. I want to make sure that when you're ready, your mind is engaged and you're ready to go. But never ever mimic what somebody else is doing and think I can just do the same thing that they're doing. Because number one, quite frankly, you don't know what they're doing. The things that they may be doing is not conducive to your health.
Mhm.
They may go to all what's the saying, any means necessary, just so they can get that immediate results, but it's not a lasting result. So are you truly willing to do what they do? That might be questionable.
Mhm. And that's the thing too. When you're talking about, you're mentioning about discipline, and you said the same way, the D word, okay?
Correct.
Discipline, the
That's right.
devil, damage, dangerous, danger, And so that would, and I think a lot of people are conditioned to looking at that D word as something very negative, something as far as discipline, which is sometimes in itself is just a lifestyle change, and they don't understand that. So sometimes when you're talking about, well, I don't want to be disciplined, that means I got to be disciplined, that means I got to do all this hard work, and they go off the, off the pool. They don't want to be a part of it anymore because they got to be disciplined. But realizing that in order to be to change a lifestyle,
Right.
it takes time. In almost 90 days, they say sometimes to get a new habit of changing a lifestyle, but it starts with the mindset. So, what are some of the things that you do to help your clients who do have the willingness to do it, but they may lack that discipline or that mindset? What is it that you sometimes recommend for your clients and others to try to change that mindset?
Well, I think one of the biggest things is getting your mind engaged correctly, and it's not so much about saying this is what I want to do. Like as far as losing weight and eating, we go deeper. So we work backwards. We make sure that we find out what was the underlying issue that got them to the point that they are right now.
Great.
And once we figure out the underlying issue, then that's where we work to repair the process before they can actually take part in any type of routine that they desire to develop. Because the routine, anyone can do the routine, but the question is, how long are you going to be able to last? And so we start backwards and we take them. Some people may not want to go far backwards because they tend to suppress some of the feelings that they're having, the emotions, the things that got them to where they are right now. But unbeknownst to a lot of people, there's a lot of um, deeply buried issues that have not been dealt with, and those things are taken forward with them. That's why they're not making the proper decisions when it comes to taking care of their health. And to them it might seem just a surface thing, and they may not even necessarily understand it. So that's our job, is to be able to uproot all of those things, and so that we can show it and lay it on the table and say, this is the reason why you keep going through these yo-yo diets, right? It's so funny when people ask me, Donna, how do you keep your body so in check? Do you go on diets? So what diet did you try? And I said, I don't do diets and I will never do diets. Okay. So just teaching individuals that it's going to be important to first start at the beginning and not in the middle of a process.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you may see that commercial on TV, but what is the beginning phases that's going to help you to net those results that you want?
Yeah.
So we really spend quality time sitting with them and making sure that we go through a long series of questions, just to make sure that we're hitting all the points so that we don't miss anything as we're
Mm-hmm.
going through the coaching process, whether it be a one-to-one coaching process or an online training process, but the one-to-ones, of course, are more in depth.
Yeah. And a lot of times, and you use the D word again, the diet. A lot of people do not realize that the diet. I mean, we diet used to be just what you're eating and how you're eating. That's when that word was used a long time ago. How are you eating? What is your diet? But now it has gotten to be where diet is losing weight, doing this, and it's always that quick and fast and the danger zone. So a lot of people ask me the same thing, and I don't like it. What kind of diet do you have? I says, no, we don't have diets here. And we have to just change our lifestyles. And I love the idea when you're talking about you have to go down to the rooted what's going on with the person. Let's say, for instance, going deep down, I realize I do a lot of energy work with people, and a lot of people do not understand something has happened a long time ago that you held on to and you're
Right.
afraid to let go. And I tell people, you're afraid to let go of something. Guess what? If it involves your behavior, if it involves your eating, guess what? You're not letting go of. You're not letting go of that weight. You're not letting go of what's going on in your body within the cells to letting something happen. And so if we hover, if we hold on to these things, we're not letting it go. And so I love the fact that that's one of the things that you look at in your program, and everyone should look at that in their programs. Why do I want to achieve what I'm achieving? And what is happening that I'm not achieving it? And sometimes it can be a very frightening thing where people do not want to let go. Um, I know I tell a lot of people when I was working in the hospital, let's say, for instance, a crying baby, conditioning that crying baby. Sometimes that baby may be crying, I was a single parent, and I had a roommate at the time, and every time my son would cry, she was giving him a bottle. And I'm like, but he's not hungry. And so And I think about that too when we start developing a habit. When people when you're an infant and you're crying and you have distress, but it's not relating to you're hungry, you might be hurting, you might be something else, and you might need to just a diaper change. But sometimes people don't look at that and they give you food. They stuff you, they give you a bottle, they give you food, they're crying, let me give you food. And sometimes people do not realize that later on in life, every time you're stressed, every time something's bothering you, you knew as an infant, it was instilled in you that food was given to you. And I think a lot of times that's what happens to a lot of people when they get stressed, they was pacified with food. So have you run across clients like that who has that same problem? And how do you help them to overcome that?
Well, the number one thing is if you're finding that you're having one of the biggest weak points, the opportunity points of being around, the good example to use is food. If you're having difficulty curtailing yourself not to eat certain things, then the biggest thing is to not have it around. So many people may say, I just have this here and it's over here. I won't touch it. No. If your willpower is not strong enough, then you know yourself best. And I always tell people, why fool yourself? So don't try not to put those things in front of you that you're going to be able to reach for, because it's not going to help. You're going to defeat the purpose of achieving your goals. But yes, as far as what you mentioned, pacifying the concern is what a lot of individuals do. They pacify it and they look for that immediate result, and they keep moving on as though everything is fine, and it really isn't. And that doesn't necessarily come in the wellness field as well. It comes when people are repeatedly wearing masks and presenting themselves in front of people to try to prove to others that there's someone they're really not. And so I dig deeper beyond that. You know, I thank God for the discernment of being able to see some of these things before it comes. And I pray for continuous discernment, because unfortunately, the world that we live in right now, it's not a kind world. People are out for what they want. And people don't realize that when you bless others, right? You're ultimately going to get blessed as well. So part of what I teach individuals to do is you really have to understand what your inventory looks like, because in order to achieve those results, understand what the inventory looks like, understand how your responses are to certain things, and then you will be able to easily address understanding some of the things that you may need to just get out of your inventory altogether, so that you can have a cleaner area to work with, and new goals and aspirations and things to work on.
Mhm. What would you suggest people to do? Set a diary. Do you recommend diaries and journals when they're going through that?
Uh, Again, there's that D word.
Uh-huh.
People have to be disciplined to do it. And the
Mhm,
thing is, how consistent are they going to do? They're going to start the diary and maybe drop off the diary.
mhm,
Yes, I recommend them writing things down, because it's going to bring it to life. That
mhm.
I recommend.
Okay.
And if they're working through a week, let's say, where they're trying to achieve that goal of ultimate health, maybe writing those things down throughout the week is going to assist them. So yes, I would recommend that. But as
Mhm,
far as the structure of this and how many calories and this, I wouldn't recommend all that, because number one, if people are not losing the weight, the inches, how are they going to spend time getting so detailed with the process? They're still not accustomed to this process.
mhm.
So I've always tell people to go back to the KISS method. It's KISS, keep it simple, sweetie. Okay, there's another word for it,
I
but
know we use it in the other word in the military. Okay.
keep it simple, sweetie, right? Let's not overcomplicate the process. Let's keep it
Mhm,
very simple so it's manageable, because that way you'll get to your goal much faster. And you're
mhm.
not worrying about, oh my goodness, look at all this structure. How am I going to remember all of this? And then you have to live too, because you have your regular life, you have your family, you have your work, and then you're coming back to this. And what are you going to do? You're
Mhm.
going to keep taking care of your family, and then you're going to drop this and say, you know what, I'll just come back to that next week. I'll lose that diet thing, do that diet thing next week, if that's what
Right.
you're going to say it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's so interesting because one of the things you just said is the process. And a lot of times people is looking for that, and you said it earlier, that instant gratification, that instant
Right.
result. And I know one time I started a fitness program many years ago, And I got so mad. I wasn't on the scale. And I think a lot of people, they go on that scale, think it's going to show them results, not realizing that the body's different. And I was getting discouraged because I didn't see the weight loss. I didn't see the firming of my muscles going through those 3 months time frame. And the funniest thing happened to me. I was shopping and I bought some clothes and I'm like, but it doesn't fit me. I got so mad. I got so upset. And then I realized that I was trying on the size of what I used to wear, and I was three
Okay.
sizes smaller.
Wow.
And then I had
So
to
you
change
were getting
clothes.
so you were getting discouraged along the process, not realizing you hadn't gotten to that point yet.
Exactly, exactly.
Everything's a
I
step
wasn't
by step.
seeing it. And I was actually reading a post from a friend. She was going through the same thing, and she didn't see a change in the scale. And a lot of times people don't realize as the body, as you're losing weight, you're building muscle, and muscle
Correct.
is completely different. And so a lot of people is kind of like, but I'm not, they're jumping on the scale. What is the results? They're not seeing any results. And they get become discouraged, not realizing that they're firming up. And so I was reading a post this morning, and the person was talking about how they didn't think they were seeing any results over 3 months. And they had an apron. They had a before and after picture. They had an apron on, and they realized when they put the apron on that it was completely different. They was tying it completely different, and they didn't even realize it. So I think a lot of times, and you could probably talk about it a little bit more, is that people got to look at things a little bit different and not jump on that scale, not compare themselves to other people.
Correct. Correct. It could be very deceiving because the weight is not going to come off first. So people feel that if they jump on the weight, it's just a satisfaction that they're going to see the needle move. And that's not where the needle is moving half the
Mhm,
times. The needle is moving in the inches, like we talked about a while ago, in the body that they have. The inches is going to go before the weight goes. So why is it that you're jumping on the scale? And the
mhm,
thing is, they're jumping on the scale because maybe they're not assured in themselves that they're going to go through this process successfully. So they keep doing that to kind of pinch themselves to say, okay, I'm doing this. It's almost like to give themselves a little boost. So by jumping on the scale, that's what it's doing for them, where
mhm,
they really need to spend the majority of their time in the planning phases of everything, not so much what the result is. The result is ultimately going to come as long as you follow the process.
mhm,
But deceiving yourself by jumping on the scale is definitely not going to be the process. So just encouraging our clients to make sure that you understand that if you're obedient enough, to be disciplined enough, and also be consistent enough, you're going to reach your goals no matter how you look at this. If you're
mhm,
listening to what I'm telling you to do and you're following the process, and you don't feel like you're cheating me, because you're not cheating me, you're going to be cheating yourself, because if you don't complete the homework assignment, guess who loses?
mhm,
The person, right? You lose out because you're not doing your due diligence to do the proper steps that you say you're going to do.
mhm,
And there's a saying, and I think it's very, very opportune right now to mention it. Let me see if I can remember it. Integrity is doing the right thing all the time, even when no one else is watching.
mhm.
So for you to say, "Oh yes, I did my 5 sit-ups yesterday," good and well, you didn't do no sit-ups yesterday. Who are you tricking? You may be tricking your mind. You're not tricking your coach, because they've been there, done that. So it's up to you now to achieve the process.
Mhm. And do you recommend that people have? I know a lot of times, and I have had people tell me, "Well, I know what I need to do, so I don't need a coach." But and a lot of people they don't see the benefit of having a coach. So can you kind of, we have just a few minutes left. Can you kind of explain the benefit of having a coach and almost like accountability? You think?
The benefits of having a coach, absolutely. The benefits of having a coach is, number one, the person has been through a process that you have not been through. They've been through a journey. Number one, they have mentors, they have trainers, they have teachers that's taken them through a process. Okay. If everyone had the answers they were supposed to have, we wouldn't be where we are right now
Hmm.
in terms of different categories of our life.
Hmm.
So shame on us for feeling, I don't need a coach because I have control of this. It's quite similar to sometimes when people tell me, oh, Donna, I'm eating the right things. And then I'll back it up with three more questions. And when they answer me, I just smile and I'm like, okay, that's what you feel like you're eating and it's correct. It's a misconception.
Hmm.
So Coaches are super, super important. Yes, that accountability piece is there, number one. And number two, their journey along the process to get to where they are right now is what's going to be valuable to you.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Nancy, I can take you through a process that may last 15 minutes where you might take 9 months to figure it out. And that's the training that you and I have received in the back end. That's what's led us up to this point. So a coach is very valuable. They will assist you through the process. They'll hold you accountable. They'll teach you things that you thought you understood, but you really did not, right? They'll redefine the way that you live your life so that it's number one, easier for you and not necessarily you taking the hard route. Because a lot of people may be taking the hardest route right now to get to where they're trying to get to when they can just have it much easier. And that's the main benefit of a coach.
Mm-hmm.
A coach is to take them there. If you notice, a lot of times coaches sometimes may not necessarily be the one in the playing field. You may have a coach that could probably lose some weight, but their skills are sharp and they know what to teach you as an athlete. It's not about them, it's about you. It's about their expertise and what they understand that they know is good. I was an all county high jumper in track and field, and it wasn't so much that my coach could necessarily high jump and flop over the bar like I did, but it was all in the skills that they know that they were going to teach me to be able to reach my next mark during each competition. And so a coach is super, super vital, very, very vital. So I encourage everyone to make sure if you don't have one, it's important that you find one.
And the thing is, when you said find one, everybody's body's different and every coach is different. So it's also important to find the right kind of coach that's going to work for you, that you both have the same kind of mindsets and the same goals and understanding. And I think a lot of times, a lot of people, they go to one coach, they didn't like that coach, and they don't go anymore. They say, well, that coach didn't work for me, and I don't need them. I could do it all on my own. And it's just like finding a doctor. You go to a doctor, you don't like that doctor, you go to another one till you find the one that you like to give you the results that you need. So I'm so glad that you mentioned the fact that the ability of having a good coach, and you have to add on finding the right kind of coach that works for you. And a lot of times, if you think about it, we need coaches. There's coaches all over the place. We got it up. The Buccaneers, they had a good coach that got them to the Super Bowl. And so sometimes a lot of people have to think about the Super Bowl. What is their Super Bowl and what do they want to win? And finding that right kind of coach to get them there. And I think
Correct.
that's what a lot of people need. Well, we only have a few more minutes, but if you would like to, talk about your book a little bit, I think everybody would love to hear that. And do you do, and another thing before you talk about your book, you do online coaching and distance coaching? Because I know a lot of times people are not going to be, I'm praying that this video is going global and that people from all over is going to be watching it. And then if they would like to resonate with you, and would they be able to, contact you to do some coaching with them online or virtually or over the phone?
Well, thanks for asking. In this current transition that we all had in our lives last year, uh, right now, the virtual coaching process is one of the biggest things on the market right now.
Hmm.
A lot of people are not in the ability to fly and go anywhere. So yes, to answer your question, I do online training as well as one-to-one trainings, but the one-to-ones will be via a Zoom conversations as we're having here, because that's where the accountability piece comes in from week to week. So yes, I do virtual virtual training, and it's up to the person what it is that they're interested in, whether they decide to do something as short as 3 months or something as long as 6 months as far as the training process. I truly believe you cannot adapt a good habit only for 3 months. But if someone feels that that's what they need to kind of jumpstart what they're doing, we do that. We do that as well. And as far as the my book, The Power of Vitality, if you notice, it's right behind me. I don't know if you can see that. That's actually a big copy of my book there. That's what it looks like. I'm very visual, so I always tell people when I do my lives, I do lives on Instagram daily. And I also encourage individuals that when you go on Amazon, a lot of times they're wondering what to look for. Well, there's my book. You'll see the actual, you have an idea of what it looks like. So many people these days are on Amazon. So it's, you're just one click away from ordering. But I'm just going to encourage you guys, don't stop there. My book is a book and a workbook in one. So what happens when you read about how to establish this foundation of getting a better faith process and taking it right into the body piece, then once you understand it in the first part of the book, the second half is a workbook. So now you can scribe your own personal journey, put it into practice, the items that you've read in the beginning of the book. So it's a book and a workbook in one. So get your pencils ready, your pens ready to write. Because again, because I mentioned I'm action oriented, I was not going to leave you to just read the book, take it and put it down and say, okay, yeah, that was a great book. Now what? It's always now what for me. Okay, then what? So pick up a copy of my book, give someone else a copy of my book, because one of the things that really concerns me is when individuals are going through a process, they're still trying to heal themselves. And what happens is we have family members and friends come and lean on you, and they're hurting, so they're spilling everything out on you. So going back to the question of why you need a coach, you don't have the expertise that it necessarily takes to respond appropriately to the person that's coming to you with some form of depression, anxiety, or stress. So why not um, give them a copy of my book so they can learn about this process, so you're not having to find the answers, because there's many things that are out of our scope of practice. Nancy has things that she may not necessarily be able to do. I have things that it's just not comfortable for me to do. So what do? I refer them out to my vitality team, which is a team of individuals and partners that I have that are experts in my field, so they can actually respond appropriately to these coaching sessions when it comes to dealing with certain concerns. So it is on Amazon, The Power of Vitality by Donna Sharp. Pick up your copy today.
Well, thank you so much. I really enjoyed this time with you, Donna. And I just want to encourage everyone. The words and wisdom that Donna has spoken resonates to me, and I've learned a lot. And I hope it also resonated with you as well. And so we're going to have her information on this link. And so subscribe so that you're going to see. And I may ask Donna to come back again. If you would love to see Donna, please write your comments down and let us know. And we'll probably talk about all kinds of different subjects. I am so excited about this, turning your challenges into triumphs, because we are all triumphant in everything that we set our minds to. We just have to be given the resources and the tools and the encouragement and the positivity to kind of help us along that journey. And I think our world has been so filled with negativity and so much anger that we've lost that triumph spirit that we've all been instilled with from the beginning of time. So Donna, thank you so much for joining us. And everyone, subscribe, share it with other people, and let's keep this going and rolling. And like I say, let's rock this.
Right. Thank you so much for having me, Miss Burrington. I really appreciate it today.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it. Thank you.